Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to History of a Haunting, guys. I am Carrie, and Erin is filling in for Laura this week. Yeah, you guys all got to see our new intro. And I love it. We are actually, like you said in the Snack Size episode, it is a work in progress. Our friend EKB Star, the breakbeat DJ extraordinaire, is actually going to be creating a track specifically for the show. And then I am working on some other things as well to add to that. So all I got done was the visual aspect of it for YouTube. And so we laid down our normal music. And so that's what it looks like thus far. So you guys will get to see it step by step as we go along. But yay! Welcome to a new week. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate the help.
My pleasure.
So we have just a couple of EVPs, guys. Let's see here. Let me find the freaking overlay. Okay, here we are. Yeah? Are you recording? We're good? Okay. Yes, EVPs, as we like to call them, endless vocal prattling. It's basically our updates and our announcements. So all I have this week, guys, is because the podcast has turned 4 years old this month, we are running a 40% off sale on everything in our shop. So the glasses, the bags, the koozies, the stickers, everything is 40% off. You can go to hoahpodcast.com/shop. And then enter in discount code HOAH40 at checkout for 40% off your entire order. So run over there and start buying and help us celebrate our 4-year anniversary. We're very excited. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. And then, Erin, do you want to tell everybody about the Reflections book?
Yeah, so myself, Andrea Perrin as well, were asked by Sean and Jason Roach up in North Carolina to contribute letters that we would write to our younger selves to be included in a book called Reflections that is basically set up for people to be able to resonate with stories. They have started a nonprofit called Inclusion, and 75% of the proceeds from the sale of that book are going to be going directly back to the nonprofit. They're focusing on helping low-income people that are in the LGBTQIA plus community. They're doing like a holiday dinner. They're putting resources together. So this was kind of their thing to kick off that new nonprofit. And it's a great way for people to read other stories, find something you resonate with. And then also know where that money's going and that it's an unbelievable cause. So
Yeah, it's amazing. They just got all the books in. Their launch party is actually going to be Friday the 13th at I believe it's a drag show club in Winston-Salem. And they had over 45 people contribute letters to the book.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like Erin said, she wrote one, and this week's episodes are Russian and from Romania, and so I'm like, I can't even say English. Erin wrote one, I wrote one, like she said, Andrea Perrin wrote one. Tons of people wrote letters to their younger selves, and things that they would like their younger self to know. I have to admit, it was a very emotional experience for me to write a letter I wrote a letter to myself when I was 18. How about you?
6.
6?
6. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I agree. It was oddly cathartic too. I think
it was.
Even the intent of the book is to help people heal. I don't think they really factored in the amount of healing that would happen for the people writing the letters as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was a really cool thing to be a part of, and nice to be able to use the things that we went through to hopefully help somebody else down the line. And that's pretty powerful, and that's what we're here for at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. Check it out. As soon as the book is released for sale, we will certainly put that onto our website and we will promote the hell out of it here on the show. The book is called Reflections. So yeah, I'm super honored to have been a part of it, and I can't wait. I just cannot wait to get my hands on a copy and read everybody's letters. And yeah, so be on the lookout for that. And then let's see. Oh, so we had a listener named Tracy reach out to us, and Tracy reached out to me, and we had, and I do want to say, I was kind of vacillating. Do I tell the story? Do I not? Like, what do I do? So essentially, Tracy sent me a friend request on Facebook, and I declined it because I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
And so then they messaged me and they were like, hey, I just want you to know, like, I see that, the friend request is gone, and I wanted you to know that I just, I love the show and I'm not a weirdo and, like, whatever. And I was like, I felt bad, but, and throughout the last several days, Tracy and I have been messaging each other on Facebook Messenger and kind of talking about our experiences with, as far as like seeing spirits or what have you. So we've been talking and I've been getting to know them, but I did have to let them know that, and to let all of you guys know that it isn't anything personal if we do not accept a friend request from you. Unfortunately, in the very beginning, Archie and I had to set that rule up because we were accepting friend requests from listeners, because in the beginning we were like, 500 people listen to the show or whatever. But as it went on, we started getting some really fucking weird people.
Yeah.
Messaging us and sending us friend requests on Instagram and Facebook. And like, we had one guy message Archie, or Archie was reading a message in the podcast's Facebook Messenger. And the guy was like saying all this weird chanty stuff and saying how we did an episode on a possession. And he was like, you have opened the demon gate to hell and you need to get, and all these ingredients we had to get, and like that we were cursed now, and like all of this horrible, awful stuff.
But for $699, he'd be happy to remove the curse for you.
1,000%.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just like one of those things where people started sending us like weird messages. People started sending us and when Laura joined the show, then people started sending us very sexually explicit things they wanted to do to Laura and I. So it just became, and this was after Archie and I had put the rule down that we don't, if we don't know them or we don't have mutual friends or what have you, we can't do that. So I felt bad about it, but yeah, and I explained that to Tracy, and they were like, "It's not a big deal. Like, I just wanted to, fan of the show, loves the show," and I was like, "Oh, so through talking with them, we got to talking about because Tracy's very much like Laura, so a skeptic that wants to believe but hasn't really had too much happen to make them believe, right? So got to talking about seeing full body apparitions, and that Tracy said that would be something that it would probably take to get them to believe in, that ghosts are real. Right. And I'm like, yeah, that's really rare though. Like,
and there's like 4 other senses that you can use.
Yes. But it is rare to see a full body apparition. I've only ever seen one, and that was at Trans-Allegheny. Have you ever seen one?
Yeah, at the Conjuring House. Yeah. One.
Okay.
Outside.
Okay. Mostly what I see is shadow people. That's usually what I see are shadow figures. Seem to be a little bit more common, especially on film. But so yeah, I wanted to kind of open up that dialogue. And you know what, you guys, if you've ever seen a full body apparition, message us, let us know. We would absolutely love to hear your stories. But to that end, I want to dedicate this episode to Tracy, because I've had the best time getting to know them and chatting with them. And they sent me a video of the actual Robert the doll that they took when they went down there, and I was like, oh God.
You're like doing all the rules before you even
Yes,
play,
I was.
ask
That
for
is.
permission.
That's what I said to Tracy. I was like, even just watching it, I was like, "Hello, Robert. Nice to meet you. Goodbye, Robert." Like I was like,
But
I'm
all
not
the
taking
things.
any risks. Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
So, so this episode, we are going to be covering the Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania. And Tracy, this episode is for you. I'm very glad that you are a new friend of ours. So, yay. We have actually had this on our episode listener requests list for a few years. People have been requesting this one. And so finally, went back through and was like going back through listener requests, and I was like, let's get some of these done. So we did Curse of Lake Lanier that our friend Libby requested. We did that last week. We're doing
personal love for that one because I grew up on that lake. We had a lake house on Lake Lanier. We spent every weekend up there. I saw we heard the rumors of the Volkswagen-sized catfish, and one of the big meteorologists in town, his wife mysteriously drowned at Holiday Marina, fell off the dock. They couldn't find her. Like, it's a weird place, and I love that episode. It was great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's a
creepy
place. Yeah, and one of our listeners, actually, it was a lovely woman that I met when we had just moved to North Carolina, and before my home was finished being built, we lived in a hotel, and I met her out having a cigarette one morning, and we were just kind of chatting, and she was on her way home, and she commented that she had, she was familiar with the lake as well. And so, if you guys have stories about any experiences or things you've heard about Lake Lanier, send us those as well. We definitely want to hear about those. So kind of going through the listener requests and just kind of getting those out already, finally. I think we just kind of built up a list thinking we're not going to be around for 2 years. We're not going to be around for 3. We're not kind of a thing. And and now here we are. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we are sticking around and maybe we should do some of these. I don't actually remember who suggested this forest. I know before when Laura joined, before she knew, so that a listener had requested it, she was like, we should do this forest in Romania. And I was like, sounds great. And, then I was kind of reconciling all the lists, and we had like multiple requests for this one, including Laura's. So, yeah. So, Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania. So that is the title this week, guys. And it is so creepy. It is just so creepy. But you know what? That's all I've got for EVP. So we might as well just jump right in. You started off, baby girl. You have the floor.
I am super grateful for Laura's, in her research, the phonetic pronunciation of all these words. I'm sure I will still probably screw them up, but we're going to give it the good old college try. So our sources today are thetravel.com, jwaytravel.com, atlasobscura.com, theguardian.com, tourinromania.com, nzherald.co.nz, hoiabaciu.wixsite.com, and hoiabaciuforest.com, and medium.com.
Yes, for the photos. Yeah, we had to go through a lot. I think that might have been one of the reasons why we put this off for so long, because there wasn't a whole lot. So yeah, when we were writing, we were like having to like really dig the first like 5 pages of Google.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet.
So,
all right. So here we go. Let's talk about Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania. Decades ago, a 5-year-old girl who wandered into the woods alone, and although she was searched for, the girl was never found. 5 years later, she wandered back out of the woods, and although it was 5 years after her disappearance, she appeared to be no older and was wearing the exact same clothing she had on the day of her disappearance. She had no memory of where she'd been or how long she'd been gone.
That's fucked.
Right? Like time slip. 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot changes in technology in 5 years.
For sure.
It's estimated that roughly 1,000 people have disappeared in these woods in total. It's also said that the forest is home to a secret portal that allows people to, unintentionally, travel in time or to another world. This is the story of the Hoia Baciu Forest. And here we go with the hard words. Okay. Cluj-Napoca city is the spiritual and economic capital of Transylvania. There are numerous important hospitals and universities here. This is a place where the past, the present, and the future come together. With fine dining, excellent cultural activities, a wonderful historical legacy, and a welcoming atmosphere, the city will certainly not disappoint those who add it to their travel itinerary. This place does sound fun.
It does sound so fun.
Bohemian cafes, music festivals, and wild nightlife are the soul of Cluj-Napoca. The city traces its origins back to the Dacian settlement of Napoca in the 2nd century AD. The name Cluj comes from Castrum Clus, first used in the 12th century as the name of the citadel surrounding the city. Clus means closed in Latin and refers to the hills that surround the city itself. Okay. German merchants who arrived here in the 12th century rebuilt the medieval earthen walls of Cluj with stone after the Tartar invasion of 1241. Down here, it's tartar sauce. So
I mean, sure.
I'm doing the best I got. I'll do a general apology at the end for my lack of pronunciation ability. Okay, so that invasion was in 1241. The nickname, quote unquote, Treasure City, was acquired in the late 16th century and refers to the wealth amassed by residents, including in the precious metals trade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Another reason we would like it. All of the crystals. Cluj became Cluj-Napoca in the 1970s when the communist regime added the name of the old Roman settlement to emphasize the city's Daco-Roman origin. Cluj-Napoca's main square, resplendent with 18th and 19th century buildings and home to many shops and restaurants, is dominated by the 15th century St. Michael's Church. This is one of the finest examples of Gothic architecture in all of Romania. The square also hosts the 18th century Baroque Banfi Palace, as well as the Romanian art collections of the Art Museum.
Wow. It does sound really cool.
Doesn't it, though?
It does sound really cool.
Right? But just a short drive outside Cluj-Napoca, in the Transylvania region of Romania, the Hoia Baciu Forest has many nicknames, including Romania's Bermuda Triangle and the most haunted forest in the world. Why? Over the years, there have been thousands of reports about paranormal activity, including UFOs, ghosts, and disappearances.
Yeah, with 1,000 people disappearing in the forest, I'm not going in there.
Well, you know what's weird? When I first started working for Andrea and them, after the live stream with the Dark Zone, somebody sent me a picture of this forest and said, this has similar energy and a look to the land with that big clearing in the center.
Yeah.
As a conjuring house, which I thought was interesting. So this forest has always popped into my brain because I just very clearly remember seeing that picture. And then you sent me the picture last week.
Yeah, we're going to show it here in a second. This is what the forest looks like. A lot of the trees in the forest look like this. Let me see if I get the right one.
Crazy trees.
What is that? Look at that.
Well, and it's weird because I know down in places that have palm trees like Florida, especially when you get into like thick overgrowth, Everglades, a lot of those different species of palm trees will actually fall down and then grow back up where they can find the sun. So I don't know if it's something like that.
Maybe. I mean,
they're all bent the same way.
They're all bent the same way.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I squirreled on that. But
no, it's fine.
I've always been interested in this place, so I'm excited. Okay, so here we go. Warped trees fill this forest with their skeletal figures twisting and spiraling, making it seem as though they're contorting themselves to reach out and touch you.
Mm-hmm.
Even weirder is that all the trees turn in a clockwise direction. Scientists have been out to the forest to examine the tree growth patterns, but have been unable to figure out why the trees grow in such an erratic fashion.
That is weird.
It is weird.
Clockwise direction. What?
Right. Why?
Why?
I'd be curious, are there ley lines in the area?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
If you know, let us know.
Yeah, if you know, let us know. We'd love to know that, especially if they're intersecting ley lines. I'd love that even more. An eerie silence fills the air, interrupted only by the footsteps of unseen figures. Given its eerie atmosphere, it's no wonder that the Hoia Baciu Forest is said to be one of the most haunted forests in the world. As such, it's a place that lends well to stories steeped with darkness. The Hoia Baciu Forest is more than just haunted. It also carries with it a dark history that many people attribute to their negative experiences. Oh, I said that wrong. Attribute their negative experiences. While the wooded land only consists of about 729 acres, which is not a small amount, but it's certainly not the largest either. Being in this forest often feels as though it's surrounding you with much more than originally bargained for. Those who do explore it by foot or bike, as there are plenty of trails throughout for both, However, once a person hears the history of these woods, it's unlikely they'll be jumping to go on a hike or a bike ride anytime soon. I
Seriously.
already don't want to.
Right?
While Hoia Baciu has many names by the locals, one of the most well-known is Romania's Bermuda Triangle. One of the alleged paranormal phenomena that occurs here has to do with time travel and bizarre disappearances, as many people have either gone into the forest and not come out, or have gone in and come out years later, looking exactly as they did years prior.
Damn.
The first is about a local shepherd who disappeared with his flock of sheep in the woods. When locals have gone to search for the men, they've all returned with stories that don't necessarily add up as something quote unquote normal. They've come back with strange rashes that have seemingly been caused by nothing at all. The shepherd and his flock, nor their bodies, have ever been found.
That's gross.
Gross.
That's gross.
Right. I went to this forest and all they gave me was a rash.
Maybe that's a
Go to
t-shirt.
this forest, it'll be fun, they said.
Right?
Right. Since the 1960s, there have been numerous sightings of UFOs here, many of which have been captured on film. The most common reports include seeing balls of light, as well as ghosts, or hearing voices, giggling women, or the screams of young girls. Don't like that one bit. Occasionally, people see faces right in front of them with the naked eye. Sometimes people also report seeing glowing green eyes staring at them from a distance. Local guide Alex Sertican and his company, the Hoia Baciu Project, has pioneered photography, riding, and camping tours in this fold of the Carpathian foothills, and few know the 55,000-year-old forest better than him.
55,000 years.
That's insane.
That is utterly insane.
Well, and how much of that, like, of those thousands of years, how many of that was untouched by human hands?
Right, yeah.
Right? So, like, with all the other things that we know can be out there,
Yeah.
it sort of makes sense. And, once you bring humans in the mix, that changes things quite a bit. But it had all this time to be weird anyway. I mean,
it was all
right?
happy being weird on its own, and then we
Right,
show
it
up.
didn't need any extra added human weirdness, but here we are. Okay, quote, "This is a bat country, remember," Alex says, as he moved this group deeper into the ancient woods.
So many reasons not to go.
Exactly. The creepiness puts people off, and sometimes even I half expect a boogeyman to jump out from behind a tree. After years of trying to make sense of it all, Alex's skeptical take is that we have become so disconnected with nature, so uncomfortable spending time in the woods, that we give into coincidence and let our imaginations trick us.
Well, nothing but bad things happen in the woods. Like, we are just kind of taught that don't go into the woods. Like, that's my favorite murder has a line of merch that says, don't go into the woods.
Well, let me tell you, we went to Catholic school every year. And, for all 12 years of school that I could go to Catholic school, that's where I was. They, at Halloween, of all the Halloween movies they could have showed us, they showed us the movie Watcher in the Woods. Every single year. Have you even heard of that? It was like
I know.
80s. I don't even know if it's a Disney movie. It's ancient, and it was scary as hell, which I'm surprised they got away with showing that to a bunch of Catholic school kids, but the point was to keep us out of the woods, I guess, and it worked.
Yeah, no.
That's the girl who works at the Conjuring House and now sleeps out there a couple nights a week.
Well, yeah.
We're well protected out there. We have lots of spirits that love us, so we're good. But,
There we go.
But you're right. It's like, don't go in the woods, especially in our society with women. You don't go in the woods by yourself.
Right.
Ever. That's
Ever.
just a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Anyway. This is what happens when you have to deal with me, is I go squirreling all over the place.
It's fine. We do it too. It's totally fine.
Laura's going to watch this episode and be like, oh my God, dear sweet Jesus, what has she done?
Yeah. Yeah, no, Laura and I do. I'm telling you what, we get comments all the time. Like, people, just stick to the script. No, sorry, that's not us.
Sorry, we don't know how to do that. Okay. One tourist wrote, maybe it's the silence that makes me feel uneasy. Forests tend to be chorused in birdsong, but by the time we retrace our steps to the trailhead, I haven't heard a chirp all day.
That is also creepy.
Also what happens at the Conjuring House.
Really?
A lot of times. Oh yeah, you'll go in the woods and that's happened to me the first time I went last Halloween. You walk through those woods and there wasn't a sound. You could even hear your own heartbeat. That's how quiet it is out there. Your own footfall, leaves falling, and your own heartbeat. There were no birds, no squirrels, no critters, nothing. That's happened twice.
Weird. That's crazy.
Now the whole time I was there in July, it wasn't like that at all. It was your typical. So I'll send you the video I have. No sound. I just took a video so I could show my parents how pretty the trail was back.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched it, and I'm like, you can't hear anything.
That is weird. Okay. Yeah, send it to me. I got to see that.
And I also wonder, in a place like this forest, is that an indication that the wildlife that usually exists in a place like that has vacated the premises because there's something else there? Almost kind of like they're sort of waiting in the wings, because why wouldn't you have?
That's a good question. In anything, yeah, and in anything I read, I didn't really read too much about like what critters that people have seen aside from bats.
Sure.
In that forest. I don't know.
Which is also weird. And if bats is all that's out there, then that begs another question. And when we had been at the farm, when I went back and watched that video, I was like, well, that's weird. So we went back in October. Same effect. And we're walking out in the woods, and all of a sudden, all we can hear is this low, like whooping sound several times. And we were
like an owl, or
no, like Sasquatch, deep, guttural. Like I can't even recreate it. It's so deep. And so when I asked Corey Heinzman about it, if he'd ever heard anything back there, he's like, you got to go check out the Sierra sounds. So, and that was something that's, I guess, been recorded, and it's basically all sounds of purported Bigfoot. And the sound I heard is in that video.
Oh, shit.
Right. So, but my point in that saying that is, in a place like the Baciu Forest, or a place like Conjuring House, a place like probably Skinwalker, your critters were there at some point. Where did they go?
And why?
And why are they going?
Yeah.
So
that's weird.
I find this fascinating about these kinds of places, because nature seems to sort of almost suspend itself in certain locations for whatever reason.
Right. Or avoid it like the plague.
Yeah. It's
weird.
Bizarre.
That is weird.
Very bizarre. All right. People have also heard the sounds of deer or horse hooves, even when there were none to be seen. Some see orbs floating near the trees, or they'll take photos. And when they look at the photos, faces or orbs that were not seen in person are then seen in the photos.
The orbs, meh. Faces, don't love that.
Don't love that. Nope.
So yes, as you mentioned before, there are stories of alien sightings in the Hoia Baciu Forest. Actually, the forest became famous in 1968 when military technician Emil Barnea was out in the forest with his girlfriend and a few friends. It was a sunny August afternoon, and his girlfriend told him that she saw something weird. He walked over to where she was standing, and he saw it too. A shining silver disc in the sky. Let me see if I can pull this up correctly.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Luckily, he had his camera with him, and before the object bolted away, he was able to capture 4 photos. So the 4 of them only saw the UFO for about 2 minutes, but he then developed his film, and his pictures live on. Some said it was probably a couple of weather balloons shot in odd circumstances or odd lighting. Yeah, I mean,
weather balloon. It didn't work at Roswell. It doesn't hold water anymore.
Right, yeah. So investigators did look into weather balloons, blimps, or anything else that might have been in the sky in that area on that day. But there was nothing to be found to explain the photos. His photo negatives were also examined to see if he had altered the image, but no evidence of tampering could be found. Now, before his photographed, there was a biologist named Alexander Sift, and this guy took great interest in the stories of the strange happenings in the forest. And in the early 1960s, he began to venture out into the woods to research light and magnetism phenomena that was going on in the forest, which according to him, he had, gathered substantial photographic evidence. Sadly, he died in 93, and then he too became part of the forest because after his death, all of the photographs that he took went missing, and most of them have never been recovered.
Of course.
Weird. So, this is another photograph of, this is another photograph that was on the Hoia Baciu Forest web page. Is another weird.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
Look at that.
Yeah. The bottom is clearly in Romanian. I'm not even going to try to say it.
That's amazing.
Isn't that nuts?
Are there lights on the top of it too? On the bottom too?
It looks like it, yeah. Or maybe it's just the light of the one on the top reflecting on the top of the bottom too.
That's amazing.
It's hard to tell. Yeah. Crazy, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So there are some people that say the strongest evidence of supernatural activity took place when the television show Destination Truth went to film there 10 years ago. So that's Josh Gates' first show, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I tried to find it to watch it, but it was on channels that I was like, I'm not getting a subscription just to watch this one show from 10 years ago. Right. But anyway, you can Google search where that's Destination Truth is streaming on. Because he's got a new one out now on Expedition Unknown or something.
Unknown, yeah.
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 So one of his crew, a guy named Evan, suddenly flew through the air as he sat in the circle. So the circle it's also called the clearing. And the strange activity in the forest centers around this clearing where nothing grows. So this is the picture of the clearing or the circle that he was in.
Yeah.
Really weird. Also reminds me of the Devil's Tramping Ground here in North Carolina that Chris and Audra and I had investigated. It's the same way. Nothing grows in this circle of land. Yeah. So Josh Gates' crewman, this Evan guy, he flew through the air as he sat in this area. Following the appearance of a sudden flash of light, Evan suddenly flew from one side of the clearing to the other. That's not a small distance.
No.
He would also find wounds along his arms. This, despite them being completely covered by long sleeves. The most frightening aspects of the encounter, though, were the claims by Evan that just prior to the sudden force that moved him, strange female voices came from behind him.
Jesus.
Blech. Yeah, just bleh. So the strange activity in the forest centers around this clearing. The soil has been sampled, and it is unknown why nothing grows in this area. Same with the Devil's Tramping Ground here in North Carolina. Moreover, this dead zone is where quite a bit of paranormal activity has been spotted. So when you step into the dead zone, you are surrounded by forest, and you feel eerily removed from the rest of Transylvania.
That's so bizarre.
Right? It's said that the forest's original haunting happened centuries prior when peasants were murdered on the land it sits on. The forest holds a lot of history, and there's evidence of a settlement there dating all the way back to the Neolithic period. So there's some evidence that suggests that people originally settled there in 6500 BC, making it the oldest settlement in all of Romania. Wow. So who knows how many people have actually lived and died in the area that is now the Hoia Baciu Forest. So while this all happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago, it's said that this is the negativity that causes the unease that many people feel when they're hiking through the forest. Those who don't believe in its tragic history as well, or those who do believe in it rather, as well as those who don't, have said they've gone into the forest and heard strange noises, unexplainable things. And again, a common claim is to have even heard giggling coming from nowhere in particular.
Yeah, no. Nope. See ya. I'm out.
I don't love that. If you think you hear it coming from behind you and you turn around and then it's coming from behind you again, I just can't.
That's some Final Destination shit. Like,
it is.
I don't know what I signed up for, but I'm not supposed to be there.
Right. So today, some people still come out of the forest with rashes and other physical symptoms that can't fully be explained. And this has driven up the interest in recent years. Sure. I think we can all agree that the paranormal, since the, 2006 or whenever paranormal reality TV shows became a thing, the interest in the paranormal has skyrocketed since there's so much accessible information and things like that out there now. Yeah. So the unexplained mysteries surrounding the forest have gotten so popular that paranormal groups have taken to its trails as well. And many tourists have strapped on their own hiking boots to see what it's all about. So it's at least bringing some, renewed interest to it, which is never bad unless these people go missing, and then in which case, But research around the world have come to study the forest, and a number of magazines and newspapers have included it in their list of the world's most haunted places. I think the idea of hearing women giggling and young girls screaming is probably the most terrifying thing I can think of. I don't like that at all. In a
No,
forest?
no.
No way. So that's kind of what we have, guys, on the Hoia Baciu Forest. We couldn't find a whole lot of personal accounts that folks had in the forest. But just sort of like some of these things that had happened, like the UFO sightings in the 1960s and what happened to the crewmen of Destination Truth. However, I do have a pretty cool know before you go. So the guy that you were talking about, Alex, was his name Alex? Yeah, the tour guy. He works for the Hoia Baciu Forest group. And they're the ones that actually put on all of these tours and things like that for the forest. So if you do find yourself in Romania and you have, a couple of spooky nights you want to spend in the forest, here's where you can go. Now, they do have night tours. They are genuine, informative, and exploratory. So you can either do a short tour, a standard tour, an extended tour, or you can camp. I don't know.
Sounds a lot like another place we know all about.
Yeah, sure does.
Right?
1,000%. So the price range per person is 42 to 125 US dollars, or 40 to 120 euros, or 200 to 600 Romanian, I don't know. Anyway, included in the price, depending on the tour you take, the short, the standard, the extended, or camping. Included in it are stories and legends about the forest, a trip to the Poiana Rotunda, and the localization of some bizarre trees. So beyond the ones I showed, I can't imagine there are anyone's more bizarre.
How do they get weirder? Right.
But listen, there you go. You'll also get ponchos in case it rains or snows, and you will get flashlights. They also do offer day tours. Those range from $32 to $84. The extended tour is about 7 hours long, which I'm like, that's just too many hours. I'm walking through a forest.
Day.
That's a whole day. Yeah.
That's a work day of terror. No thanks. I'm good.
1,000%. They also, sorry, go on.
How would you energetically recover from that?
I wouldn't. There's no way. Not for 4 days.
You'd have to.
They also have different. Here, let me just read it to you. It's really interesting. I really like it. So one is called the Hoia Baciu Experiment. It's basically a game that you can adventure explore. It's team building, that kind of thing. Your mission is to find information about a human subject which disappeared during a governmental experiment. Can you follow the subject's steps through the woods by getting inspired from his journal notes? So that's a real
outdoor freaking escape room is what that shit is.
It is. Yes.
That's amazing.
You can even camp in the forest. You'll spend the entire night. They provide the gear and they help you set up your camp. You go on a tour for about 2 hours, and then next it's up to you. You'll spend the night on your own, and the guide will come get you in the morning. They also have Escape the Haunted Forest. So imagine yourself trapped in 295 hectares of forest, or how much did you? 729 acres?
792 acres.
92? Okay.
Let me make sure. Where is it?
Regardless, you're trapped in the entire forest.
729 acres.
29 acres. Okay.
729.
You're trapped in it at night. So what would you do to feel safe again and escape from one of the world's most haunted forests? Work in a team, handle your emotions, and find the clues to get out. Fuck no!
Can you imagine working for that dickhead and be like, hey guys, for this year's retreat,
yes,
we're going to Romania. We're doing some team building. One of the most
we're gonna, escape room in a forest.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going. Thank you. No. Not happening.
I quit. I see where this is going.
1,000%. So you can also ride through the forest on horseback or in a sleigh cart, depending on sleigh. That sounds so cute.
That would be cool.
So you could do that. You can also hunt the haunted treasures. So you can, it says the Hoia Baciu Forest covers nowadays the same territory, at least since the 18th century when the Josephine map of Transylvania was done. So in the last 300 years, the forest hosted battlefields, huntings, treasure hidings, and being open space for visitors, and many objects were lost. So let's find the treasures of the forest, take a picture, discover their stories, and then donate them to the future museum dedicated to the Hoia Baciu Forest. Coins, cartridges, buttons, fragments of artillery shells are just some of our findings. What will you find? You're given it's like metal detection.
That's
and you just
great.
kind of go through and see what you can find. And then you donate all that to the museum for that.
It's a really smart business move.
Right?
Because people are paying you to do the work for them.
Yeah. And still have a really fun, good time doing it. Yeah, I think it's great. You can also do yoga in the forest. So it says, so many stories, only one truth. Are you prepared for a personal connection to find the answers?
No.
Yoga in the forest, yeah. Scientific meetings. They have monthly scientific meetings conducted by known Romanian researchers in the field of the paranormal. You can find answers to your questions about the forest phenomena. I don't think so. I have so many questions and I don't think they'll be able to answer them. But those are just some of the things that you guys can do if you ever find yourself in Romania, in Transylvania, and you want to go check out this super haunted forest. A lot of it sounds like fun. I think they're all brilliant ways to generate money to preserve the forest and protect it and things like that.
Yep.
But I wouldn't want to do any of them. But yeah, so that is the Hoia Baciu Forest, guys. So if you've been there, let us know. If you're going there, let us know. We want to hear all about it. This is a really good one. I'm glad that we finally covered it because I had no idea just how weird. We have covered I think the only other forest that we've covered is the
suicide forest?
The Aokigahara forest in Japan, we covered that early on. No way.
That's purely from an emotional standpoint. That is a place not meant for sensitives ever.
Oh, yeah. No. Really?
Especially empath side. Yeah.
Yeah, no. There's no way. There is no way. Yeah. So that is what we've got for you guys. This is a quick one, but yeah, we don't always have to do hour-and-a-half long shows. Although I think next week's we're going to be revisiting the Driscoll Hotel. So yeah, we've got some new information to share with you. And obviously, as we do these revisit episodes, guys, we've told you we have, better research techniques and we found out new information and we've got new things to share. And so we are going to be revisiting the Driscoll Hotel in Austin, Texas. Nice. Which incidentally, our original episode on the Driscoll Hotel was dedicated to Laura and her wife at the time. So
really,
it was. They were living in Austin at the time. Yeah, and it was like I don't know. We were 6-7 months into the show. It was a while ago, but yeah, it was actually dedicated to Laura. So now she gets to report on it herself because she's been there. She has been there since. And so she had an experience, so she's probably going to share that as well. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's going to be really cool. So we're doing the Driscoll next, and then she's got the Snack Size episode. We are doing it all super creepy for the month of October, and I'm nervous about Laura's. I said it in the actual Snack Size episode, but that girl finds some really interesting stuff, and so I'm kind of I'm a little concerned. I got to figure out what my next one's going to be, but. Anyway, guys, Erin, thank you so much for joining us this week and stepping in for Laura. We certainly do appreciate it. I certainly do appreciate the help. And to that end, guys, have an amazing week. We will see you next Monday with 2 brand new episodes, full meal-sized episode, and then our snack-sized episode. And do you have anything else that you want to say to the folks before we take off?
No, just thanks for having me. And it's always a blast to be here. And I'm always so grateful that I'm not the one having to do the research when I jump in, because the amount of time Laura spends on her research is astounding. Yeah. And so I'm always grateful to be able to read for someone who is so good at putting those pieces together of the puzzle. Yeah. So thanks to Laura for that.
Yeah, there was an episode that I had to do by myself, and I was like, fuck this. Like, Laura's part is hard to do. And then there was
hard.
She had to do my part when I was moving into the house, and it was her and Archie, and she had to do my part. And she was like, fuck the hauntings. I was like, so we both kind of really appreciate what the other brings to the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, it's not easy. It does take a lot of work, even though it seems like we just kind of slap this shit together, which kind of we do, but really. Anyway, guys, hope you're having a wonderful, spooky season, and we will see you back next week with 2 brand new episodes. And as we say here at the show, stay safe out there, because you never know who or what is listening or giggling at you in the forest, apparently. Gross. Bye, guys.
Gross. Bye.